TPN at technophilespodcast.com. I'm David Geisler, and this is the Technophiles podcast.
With this technology, they basically shoot this X-ray laser at it, and then it throws back all these data points.
It's a mini-sode this Friday as Krista-Lee brings us a story about scientists at the University of Milwaukee, Wisconsin who are using lasers to look at proteins. Maybe we can finally employ all those laser sharks as lab technicians because this is the Technophiles 252nd episode. Hello everybody, welcome to tonight's show. I am here with two of the regular cast members, Krista-Lee Malone and Mr. Tony Stiglich. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I was kind of wondering who was going to answer first.
Krista-Lee had that look in her eye.
That's like a host 101 no is to ask multiple people to say something on an audio show. But Krista-Lee answered first. So Krista-Lee, how was your week?
My week was quite busy, but instead of telling you that, can I tell you a very short, funny story about the shirt I'm wearing?
Please.
All right. So it says and it has a Space Invader. NYLS, New York Law School. And I put
the Space Invader is red and kind of looks like a heart, if I may.
Right. It's supposed to be a play on the I love heart, t-shirts, blah, blah, blah. Right? But the reason I bring it up is because I was walking downstairs and my mom saw me and said, "Why do you like nails?"
Okay.
And I didn't even understand what she was asking. And then I had to explain what Space Invaders was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But she should know. That's like...
She's not a gamer and she never has been.
She never was, huh?
Nope. So, yeah,
there we go.
Had one of those moments.
I heard NYLS, and now why do you have that shirt? Because you actually do heart NYLS?
Well, actually, I was a part of a conference.
Do you Space Invade them?
Yeah, I was just going to say, maybe it's a play on the love part. Maybe that's the play. Maybe it's like, I attack and destroy. Oh, nope, now I'm gone.
Yeah, no, I totally invaded New York Law School a few years ago. There was a conference, State of Play, and I was a part of their graduate symposium.
I outsmarted them with a series of horizontal moves, then followed by a single vertical move.
Right.
They didn't know what was
gradually growing faster.
Hey, Joe, why is that girl walking at us like that? Never mind her. Infiltrated!
And then I quietly disappeared into Central Park.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Okay, so NYLS what? How do you know? Well, how do you love them? I apologize. I asked you a question and interrupted you, and so I'm now giving it back to you. I'm so sorry.
I was there for the State of Play conference several years ago, which it's a conference that's not running anymore, but it was really awesome, and I loved the T-shirt because Space Invaders.
Space Invaders. That's
right.
Great. I have a couple paintings that I've done that have Space Invaders in them.
Nice.
That I enjoy very much.
There you go.
Tony Stiglich, how are you doing? Michigan State Spartans on your shirt right now. We've got a lot of text on our shirts tonight.
Yes, it's very
Do you
text heavy.
Invade the Michigan State Spartans?
You should.
It's kind of an awkward question.
I'm really not sure how to answer that. They have a very bad record when I go to their games, actually. But no, I'm tired. I was at a food technology conference.
What?
All weekend.
That sounds amazing.
There was spectacular food everywhere.
And spectacular technology?
Indeed.
Yeah. Was there anything that I'm serious about this because we're doing just doing a mini-sode today, so we have a little bit extra time. Was there anything that really stuck out to you?
I did not. I was unable to attend things. I was working.
It was from the other way around.
Yes, I was working the booth for my company.
Yes, I see.
So, we sell ingredients and additives and things like that as part of it. And before, I got at least 3 times on different occasions people saying like, "Oh, you guys are the ones poisoning us," and I'm not like,
"Oh, you guys are making the non-natural something."
You guys, right?
All right.
Like, "Oh, so you're the ones," and I'm like, that never gets old.
You're the greatest.
Like, let me remind you of this solvent that's in almost all of your food. This dihydrogen monoxide that at certain levels will leach all your electrolytes and give you seizures. Like, it's all about quantity, people.
Indeed. Well, anyways, but it was an exciting time at least, huh?
At times.
I'm sure it was work. It was work.
It
was cool,
it was a really cool trade show to go to.
Is it okay if I ask where it was and stuff?
Yeah, I was in Chicago at McCormick Place. So really huge show. We're talking $100,000 plus booths.
Wow.
Multi-tiers. Oh yeah, it's a big deal.
But
more than just cardboard cutouts and and foam core signs and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But what good did you get to eat?
There was a significant amount of barbecue, one being sort of on bao buns.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Bao?
Bao?
B-A-O.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a sort of spongy sort of dumpling type thing.
Cool.
One was from French's. They had sort of a more traditional pulled pork sandwich thing. There was a food colors company that was giving away these soda drinks that were very nice. Just tons of stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I typed in BAO and I've got BAOZI. Does that seem like it, or is that something totally different?
Yes, no, that's Balza.
Sorry.
That is something
Krista-Lee
different.
would probably know better
here?
than I
Yes, that is. Yeah.
All right. Never mind then. I don't want to derail the show here. I was just going to look real
Sorry
quick.
to jump in. I speak Chinese. Yeah. So the
Did I mispronounce it?
No, you didn't, because in English we would say that. In Chinese, the reason they add the ZI is because that's making it a noun.
So I did find the right thing.
Yes.
On accident.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. It did look kind of like a foam dumpling.
Yeah.
A dough dumpling.
It's very good.
And I think that might be
Interesting.
why I didn't immediately know what you were talking about. Because one, I was expecting you to say an English word.
Right.
And then two, it was just like... But then as soon as you said baozi,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, baozi. I used to eat that all the time.
Sure.
Oh, geez, why didn't you say?
Why didn't you bring any back?
Well, there is a place in Chicago called Wow Bao. Although now it should be...
Or is it called Wowzy Bowzy?
Yeah, like, they missed an opportunity there, I
They
think.
really did.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, let's get into our show tonight. Tonight's going to be a quick one. We're doing a mini-sode. And Krista-Lee, we're going to be talking about a story that you brought to the table. And I asked you before the show in the pre-notes, but I'm asking you on the show again. You, last season when we had you on as a guest, you were a lecturer at UWM and you had some connections. And you found a story about some things that are happening at UWM. But I think that's just a coincidence.
Yes, it is. So this was actually just, so when you go to log into your email on the UWM page, they have these little stories up.
Look what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So I just randomly kind of saw this and
Fair enough.
kind of bookmarked it for later because it did come out a couple months ago now. But yeah, then...
Well, we have a headline here on
hey.
the UWM.edu website, and it says, UWM team first to see, in quotes, atomic changes in proteins with an X-ray laser.
Right. It's the
Sounds pretty exciting.
XFEL or XFEL. Actually, I'm not sure if they say the letters or pronounce it.
Oh, right. EXFEL. XFEL. There's my...
It's a free electron
This
laser. Yeah.
is not friends with my dyslexia right now.
Okay.
So we'll
I
keep
believe
moving.
it is an initialism and not an acronym.
I believe so, too.
Yes.
That's good. It has a ring to it.
Yeah. Catchy.
So yeah, even though we go to the same school, I don't know any of these people.
Okay.
I just found it interesting and thought, hey, look at that. Yeah.
So why don't you set it up for us?
Right. So there's this XFEL laser, and UWM was working with several other schools as well. I believe the laser itself was built by Stanford.
Okay.
But the UWM article here was basically about a experiment they ran with it. And so what they were doing is they're trying to map proteins, which is very difficult, obviously, because they're very small and because while they're functioning and stuff is moving around, obviously, before it was impossible to map. But with this technology, they basically shoot this X-ray laser at it. And then it throws back all these data points. And there's a picture here. And if you look at it, right, it looks kind of like a mess.
Is this the AB that we're looking at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think in the article they even say it looks like a paint splatter.
This is almost impossible to describe
Yeah.
for our listening audience.
Okay,
Right?
so it's the sort of ribbon, sort of twisting structure that's often associated with proteins.
Lots of ribbons, a lot of those kind of pseudo-hexagon cylinders that you a lot of times see in protein models, and a lot of red and blue blobs
Yes.
Right.
all over the damn place.
Yep.
So apparently what these physicists can do is use math to reconstruct it into a 3D model. And from that, they can then understand how the protein looks. And this is really important because what they're saying is basically, the structure equals function is what they say in the article, right? So you have to know what something looks like in order to fully understand what it does. Which makes sense, right? I mean,
Sure.
you understand what a table does because you can see it, and you're like, I can put stuff on this, right? So that's kind of the idea here. I know that was really silly,
No,
wasn't it?
it's not really silly. I'm going to just say this for a split second. You made me think of one of my top 5 favorite jokes from Community, and it was in season 5 or something. And Donald Glover and Danny Pudi's characters were talking, and Donald Glover had a glass on the table, and Danny Pudi was saying Abed was saying look, it's even voice activated, and he says, "Table, resume table mode," and he's like, "See, fantastic." Everyone's like, "Oh wow, great." And then he says something like, "Table, power down," and Donald Glover, who's playing Troy, quickly grabs his glass and goes, "Wait, I got a cup on there."
I believe that's the first episode of season 5, but I
think it is
wrong.
first episode of season 5, and it's amazing.
Yes.
Tony and I found out, are humongous Community fans.
We are indeed.
But anyway, yes, we
I've
know
never
that it's a
seen
table. We know how. All right.
Sorry.
Okay, that gets me thinking. Anyway, let's get back on to knowing that tables work because we're looking at them.
Right. So, so in addition to being very small, one of the problems was that these functions that they're trying to map happen in less than a split second.
Yeah, in many ways, you might even be able to see. It's almost the strangest thing using this kind of "I've got a cup on there" joke. Now that I think about it, it's almost like, and correct me if I'm wrong with this metaphor, we could see the cup there, but we're not quite seeing the full table, and we're starting to be able to see the table.
Yeah, actually,
almost you can see the effect, but if you can look at how it's happening, you can know a lot more. Right?
Actually, I think that's a good metaphor because that's just it. What they're going to use this for is, or what they're hoping to use this for is understanding biological functions, basically, that we kind of know about. I mean, we know a lot about biology, but there's a lot of stuff that, even to scientists, it's kind of like magic.
There's a lot of it happens. We know it happens. It happens most of the time. We can usually predict it happens.
Right. But there's still a lot of underlying things. So I think that's a good thing, or a good metaphor because it's we can see that the cup's not falling to the floor. And we can kind of see something under it. We're not really sure how that's functioning, right? And now this is going to help give us a clearer picture of these proteins.
I totally didn't plan the table cup metaphor, but if we want to take it one step further, and then we're going to just move on because I'm almost whipping a dead horse here. If you had just a glowing, like a glow stick on a table in a pitch black room, you could kind of see the glow stick. You can tell it's not on the floor. It's giving some kind of essence of the table or something.
Right. Or the ghost that's holding it out.
Yeah, you're getting consistent measurements that this glow stick is not going to hit the floor. We know something is there.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Until you hold your iPhone up to it with night terror, and then it does hit the floor, and it really confuses you.
Call back.
Okay, anyway.
Go ahead.
No, well, I was going to say, so that's about... what I have for how this works.
And this laser is giving them finer resolution, or is it a completely different way of looking at it?
So, if I may.
Please.
Tony.
Yes, so we mentioned the red and blue blobs earlier. The red blobs, from what I could pick up, represent where the electrons are in this at a sort of initial point.
Okay.
And then in a matter of, I believe it was 2 femtoseconds, which is a
femtoseconds. Mr. Nate Winter just talked about femtoseconds a couple episodes ago on the newscast.
A quadrillionth of a second.
Indeed.
It's to the negative 15.
I think it was episode 90 for him, but anyway.
Okay. Then the blue blobs represent where those electrons are now. So what they're doing is looking at the movements of electrons in that to sort of map it.
Oh, yes.
Which is why you need this laser, what is that, femtosecond laser?
1 quadrillionth of a second, but this is how much change is happening, so there's a little bit of a time dynamic here.
Yep.
Right. So they said that the next step they want to do is this pump and probe experiment is what they're talking about with a 40 femtosecond pulse, and then map out the step-by-step change. What did I say? That was funny.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm 12 sometimes. Pump and probe. It's let's move on.
Gotcha.
It isn't worth acknowledging. I just... Yeah.
No, I think there's a metaphor there somewhere. I think we can come up with something. So you have a glow stick. Stopping. Well, it's a Friday night, and we're only doing one topic. It's a little bit loose tonight. All right.
Sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. So 14 femtoseconds. So this is like we're taking our phone and we're doing the shutter. We're holding down the shutter button and doing a batch capture of images.
Oh, there you go.
I think so, right?
Yeah. Strobe light.
Yep.
Pick your metaphor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because for some people this is so abstract, especially if you're just tuning in and listening, like you're driving in your car right now, just listening. It's like some of this stuff's pretty intense.
Well, and explaining it, like you said,
it's totally awesome. So, Krista-Lee, do you have any other thoughts about what's going on here? So they're going to use a new laser for this. I'm genuinely asking this. I actually don't know this right now. They're going to use a new laser for this kind of batch capture, femtosecond batch capture, or
the laser itself, this X-File laser, is fairly new, or new-ish, I should say. But so now we're to the phase of, okay, so we have this laser, we know it works, and now they're starting experiments with it, right? So they have this one experiment, they've proved that they can map out a protein, so now the next experiment, right? So step by step. So the next experiment is, it's going to be, I believe it's the same laser, they didn't say anything about bringing in a different one, to just do this next experiment then.
I asked specifically because when Nate spoke about femtoseconds and lasers in his episode on the newscast, he had just a couple quick details about different lasers being able to do different ranges of femtoseconds and things like that. But it sounds like they're using the same one.
Well, this one...
It's almost more about interpreting the data than it is changing the tool that's measuring it sounds like.
It's possible that they're simply doing a reaction. Or
what are you talking about?
There's a paragraph here. It says, with the pump and probe experiment, it would induce a chemical reaction in a protein crystal the size of a bacterium using an optical laser to get the atoms moving.
There we go.
Then they would take the imaging of it.
All right.
So it sounds like, you're just changing the conditions a bit. So.
All right, cool. There's the answer. Well, fantastic. What do you think might come from this? Obviously, what can we do Can we use that knowledge to produce maps of other proteins? Can we build our own proteins? I mean, am I jumping too far out here? What do you think some of the benefit is of this study?
Well, medical, I think, is the first one. There's if we could do this to proteins in somebody's body, I don't know if we can take a sample or something, sometime in the future, and then be able to map out what's going on, we might be able to, have more targeted drugs or treatments. Especially I'm thinking of the really, really big diseases, right? You got cancer, you got AIDS, these things where maybe if we can have this, atomic level knowledge, we might be able to understand better what's going on. Maybe we can build a protein that, I don't know, we inject in somebody someday. And
we're still very much at the phase of seeing what they even look like. I agree. But it's almost like remember when the genome stuff was 10, 20 years ago, it was kind of this one day and now it's it only takes an hour and we can, you know what I mean? And I'm very excited where this will be, I guess, 20 years from now, you could say.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I would say that's a good comparison of where we're at.
That's cool. Well, I have to say then, I think tonight might just be kind of a quick episode. We're a little early. We've only been recording about 18 minutes, but I think we did it.
Oh, wow.
I think we talked about it. Is that all right? You guys feeling good about this? Is there any shout outs you want to say on these people who are working on this or anything? Because I don't think we actually talked about the specific team here, Krista-Lee. I don't want to put you on the spot or anything.
So let me check my notes here. Sorry.
Well, of course.
Since I am not in the physics department. Right, so it says physics professor Marius Schmidt and doctoral student Jason Tenboer recently completed this experiment.
Yep, and we're reading from an article written by Laura L. Otto on uwm.edu.
So can I just say, what a cool thing to do as a doctoral student.
Oh my God. We have to have him on as a guest.
That would be cool.
They are in the same city as us.
That'd be cool.
We have to talk to them.
I will say...
That would be very cool.
So when we first brought this up, I wondered, does our esteemed podcast panelist emeritus, I guess,
it's sounding pretty esteemed now.
That was really difficult to get out. Mr. Drew Nowakowski, who did biochem at UWM. I sent him a text. He is unfamiliar with this group, but... We should. We got to reach out. I think so.
Hopefully, they're hearing this right now. You guys can get in touch with us, or we'll tweet you if you've caught this episode at all. It would be awesome to actually talk to them, have it a chat about what's actually going on there.
Yeah,
because we're sitting here. I don't mind admitting that this is way over my head. This is not my area of expertise, so it totally blows my mind. But it would be really great to just talk about someone and talk with someone and hear even if we just hear about like what the journey was like for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sound good?
Yeah.
I love it.
Totally is. So this will be our little like intro teaser, and then hopefully we can get one of these guys on.
I suppose. If we start talking about artificial intelligence or we start talking about computer code or something, I'll ramble for 30 minutes, but this is not quite my area, so I don't have too much to add tonight. But this was cool. All right, guys. Well, I guess from here on out, we'll just we'll say have a great weekend. It's a Friday.
Yeah.
Simple little show. We'll see you guys. We'll be back on Tuesday, and I think I've got a story about Google and what they've done with Emmy voters, and they're giving out Chromecasts and stuff like that. A little interesting. It's not quite as groundbreaking as lasers that can read proteins, but it means something.
Yeah.
And then we also have a listener-submitted story, Tony, that I think you've covered for us.
Yeah, it's also actually very physics-heavy.
Well, all right.
So
let's do it. I'll see you guys on Tuesday, and we'll be back here for that. So let's see. In the meantime, Krista-Lee, people can find you on Twitter at
Gameranthro.
Gameranthro, fantastic. Tony Stiglich, they can find you.
I'm at Tony_Stig.
Marvelous. We love it when people tweet the show. We are at Technophiles Pod, or they can find us on iTunes and Facebook by searching Technophiles, or you can go to our actual website, technophilespodcast.com. And if anybody is inclined to tweet me and teach me a little bit more about femtoseconds and proteins and X-Fel lasers, you can do that by finding me, David Geisler, on Twitter at RaptorPaint. See you guys on Tuesday.
See you, Dave.
Bye.